To the No State Project live from the fortified compound in Mesa, Arizona. Glad to be with you if I could speak. Glad to be with you today as everyone starts to file in. It is January 18th, 2018, and I appreciate all the support of the show. If you'd like to help support the show, I have to give this information out during the show. But you want to help support the big show, it's I can't even use the 218 number anymore, but it's markstevens.net and markstevens.cells.com. We'll get, okay. And I'm actually streaming using what I'm doing here is I had to boot up Windows again, and I'm running a show off of Windows, and hopefully it works out pretty well. We will see. I will try to call the line. I unfortunately have a new number. I will try to salvage the other one, but that is a paid service now, so that may not work out too well. But we'll see how this one works. Maybe if somebody could do me the favor, I did not put it in the show notes. You could put it in. We could put it a number of times into the chat. But the new call-in number is 717. It's not toll-free as far as I know. 717-275-8941. That's 717-275-8941. And the passcode is 123-3428. So 123-3428. And I can always bring you up on. You can join me on Skype. That's Frank Rizzo 3. But please instant message me first. Although I've got that muted up just in case we have somebody who wants to jump the gun. The not toll free passcode 717-275-8941. I appreciate you guys putting that up there. And this one now we could just copy and paste the damn thing as the show goes along. So, what a week. I'm glad that I'm almost better. It's just one of those lingering kind of ailments. But this new, whoa, we are getting lined up with calls already. See, maybe this will work out pretty good. I certainly hope so. Wow, that was impressive. One of the things I am going to talk about today is that Donald Trump, the impeached president Donald Trump, has hired two of Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers. But I'll take some calls and we can get more into that. You guys make me put the cones on early. All right, here we go. Let's see if we are going to be able to do this without a hitch. We have area code 601. You're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from? I heard him come on. Area code 6. Did they drop? No, they're right there. They left a call. As soon as I picked them up, they left a call. All right. Is this a sign of things to happen? We'll go to area code 604. 604, you're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Marc, it's Mac from Vancouver.
Hey, we got you on there. Let me just see if I have to adjust my sound levels there. Say hello again.
Hello? Loud.
All right. Well, Mac, what you got? Good news for us?
Not really.
Okay, we'll move on to the next caller then.
I wish I had good news. In terms of that consumer, I got two updates though. The consumer protection guy, he emailed me back. I forgot to forward the email to you, and I'm thinking of a reply. Now he switched his claim from having jurisdiction over me to having it over the business, the corporation name, saying that when I incorporated, I agreed to the business would follow the laws And when I got a business license, I probably agreed to follow the laws. So I replied back to him saying, okay, well, that's good. You obviously don't have personal jurisdiction over me. That's fine. This makes more sense if the corporation is obligated to, follow the rules. But I don't remember signing any contract or agreement when I incorporated. I know it was a simple process, and same with the business license. So if you have that information where we have an agreement, the corporation, can you please send that to me? And he basically replied back, make your decision by the end of today. That's it, as far as whether I want to refund the money or not, or he's going to escalate it to the next level.
Well, he's kind of
thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, you've got two separate issues. So let's take the good news first. The business license is compulsory. And
yeah,
okay.
Let me write again.
We're all recording. This is all recorded anyway. So just like with a driver's license or filing a tax return, it's not evidence that their rules apply to us. They're compulsory. We do it to avoid being hurt, being prosecuted or put in jail or killed in the process. The corporation's a different story. We've spoken about this on the show many, many times. Does a corporation exist naturally, or does it only exist by virtue of their law?
By virtue of their law.
There you go. That's their nexus of jurisdiction.
What does that mean?
Well, if we're going to use, that's how they can prove jurisdiction. That's how they can establish that there's jurisdiction over the entity, because it only exists by law. When you have a corporation, you're getting certain benefits, and explicitly you're getting benefits. You're not personally liable for the debts or the obligations of the corporation. On the other side of that are the obligations. So you've got the privileges or the benefits, and then you got to pay for them. So you got the taxation, you got the regulation that comes with it. So unfortunately, I think he checkmated you as far as the issue of jurisdiction over the business. If it is in fact a corporation, then as far as personal jurisdiction, I don't, at least the way you're arguing it, it's not the same. You can't argue it the same as when you're doing it against you.
Okay. That's what I was afraid of, and that's what I was waiting for him to say. Now, should I still push the fact that you provide evidence that I have to follow your laws, or no, that the business does? I said again, I'm ready to pay. I want to resolve this. But just show me where we have this agreement, because you're just asserting that the corporation must follow the rules. You haven't provided evidence.
Well, if he takes the time, he'll be able to do that. That's a no-brainer. I mean, the fact is they only exist by virtue of their law. So they can show personal jurisdiction over the corporation fairly easily, because it only exists according to their laws. I wouldn't argue in that. I would look at now that my back's up against the wall, then I would address and see if they have the facts correct, if the facts are correct. Is this?
Yeah, I'm not going to win on the facts. I mean, basically it's black and white. He's just following the law. He goes, if the personal situation changes, he's admitted people are dishonest and breaking contracts, and that's fine. And basically he hasn't addressed the fact that he did address that doctors will write a note for anything if you ask them. So he's admitted that, but then he basically said it doesn't matter. The statute states that this is what happens if, person's situation changes and they've got a physician's note. So that's black and white to him.
Well, if you can't win on the facts, then you backs up against the wall.
Okay.
You're not going to prevail on that one. You got a much better chance on the traffic
that's
side.
what I thought. It was fun to play with him, though. I will say it was good practice for what's coming up next. And that is, and from Idaho, I got a response back from the prosecutor. He is objecting to my motion in limine. He is objecting to my motion for sanctions. And then he showed me a certificate, and they did file a motion to continue, which I never received a copy of back in August when they initially changed the court date. So I'm thinking I need to amend my motion for sanctions to remove that aspect of it, because I think that may have been a U.S. postal service might have lost the mail, or Canada Post, when it got over the border. But it does look like they filed a motion to continue, but I don't know if I got a copy of it, though. It's saying they sent me a copy by U.S. mail.
Well, I don't even like
Sure.
and want to, at this point, even ship books to Canada, because the Canadian Post is horrific. I mean, it's one of the worst. It's one of the worst I've ever dealt with. I've had things go to England or Australia far faster, and I've had some people where it gets stuck in customs for whatever reason, and 3-4 months later, there, that's why if you ever order something from me and you don't get it right away, you got to, email me or call the customer service line. And I've had to send books again, which is really expensive for me to do for people in Canada, because the post, not only is it the worst, but the cost is so that that anybody in Canada, I'm probably going to pull it down. I probably should remember to do that. Just get government indicted as an ebook. You get it instantly, and we don't have to deal with the customs.
Yeah. Or ship it across the border if you can. Like, that's where I ship my things, from the U.S. across the border. I have a mailbox, and I just go down and pick it up. Stuff from the U.S., whether it's Florida, New York, anywhere, gets there in 2 days. I go over, pick it up, and I cross the border. Oh. I ordered a part I needed for something that shipped in 2 days, but instead of coming to me in Vancouver straight up, they sent it across the country to Toronto, sat there in customs for 2 months before they finally sent it to Vancouver. So it went from Seattle. I think I ordered from Seattle. It went to Seattle to Toronto, across the country, rather than just north to Vancouver, sat there, and then it came to friggin' Vancouver. It was horrible.
Wow.
Anyways,
well, we
agree on that.
Oh yeah, they're horrific, really bad. You would think I was mailing it to Syria, right? I mean, it would probably take less time to get to Syria.
Yeah.
What were the grounds for the objection? I mean, why do they object to the sanctions and the motion in limine?
Motion in limine. What is he saying here? He's saying there is jurisdiction for a county in the state of Idaho to prosecute for. He's just asserting basically he's saying prosecute for public offense that occurred within the boundaries of the county. IC 19-301 provides every person is liable to punishment by the law of this state for a public offense committed by him therein, except where it is by law cognizable exclusively in the courts of the United States. Furthermore, IC 19-306 provides when an offense is committed in this state on board a boat, a vessel, railroad, train, motor vehicle, aircraft, blah, blah, blah. The venue is in the county through which the boat, vessel, railroad, etc., blah, 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 passes in italic bold, or in the county where the trip terminates.
Right. So
I think he's just asserting that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think all they're doing is repeating 90% of their argument and leaving out the foundation that it rests on that you're attacking, which would,
yes,
for one. So that one critic, they think that that's all they have to do, so they can ignore the foundation part that rests on, that they admit is the basis of their jurisdiction. It's the Constitution, and they just decide to cherry pick that. Well, we're not going to address that part because we don't have a defense, but we're going to stick just to this. Well, the judge hasn't made a decision, right?
No.
When do you have a court date coming up? I mean, can you? Is there a trial date set?
No, well, trial? It's supposed to. Yeah, I need to file my answer to this, amend my motion in limine, because last time you told me to add that they're arguing without evidence. My date is, February 21st, and I need to change that or get that telephonic because I cannot drive down to Idaho on February 21st.
The arguing without evidence should already be that's really the nuts and bolts of the motion in limine, that they are arguing without evidence and should not be permitted to make those arguments.
Yeah, when I initially filed it, I left that out. I was just arguing that they haven't provided me discovery. I think that's what was in my original. I'd have to find it, unless it was in your wording and I left it there.
Yeah, I mean, the basic legal premise of it. It shouldn't be taken out. I mean, if you don't get the discovery and the material's not a part of the record, he's arguing without evidence and shouldn't be allowed to make those arguments. It's the same basic thing we do every time. So read through it again. And if you said you took it out,
I pulled it up. Yeah. Point 1 says the prosecution has no evidence of jurisdiction and the element of alleged violation. So that's what was filed. So that's still there.
Okay. Then
I have repeatedly asked the prosecution for evidence and witnesses proving that the Constitution and the laws of the plaintiff's state apply to me. Yeah, so that wasn't the original motion to limine that was filed. Okay. What's my step with that?
You did. It sounds like you got it. What I would do is, you already know, you mentioned it about filing to get that trial date done telephonically.
Okay.
I mean, Idaho just got pounded with snow. I mean, not nearly as bad as Newfoundland got hit this last few days, but still pretty. I have family in Newfoundland, and that's not. If you're a Moriarty, if you're a Moriarty from St. Vincent, St. John area, we're family. But put that out and let them know about you just under the circumstances you just can't do it.
Okay. Can I argue, because in his initial motion for continuance, which I just got right now, they said that the state trooper has been relocated to Boise from Twin Falls, and that's why they moved it. And it's hard. We are trying to consolidate cases so he will not have to leave his new duty station to return to Jerome any more than necessary. Can I argue that this is unfair, that they're, catering to the officer's schedule and not even considering mine, because they're just giving me a date and expecting me to go there and not communicate with me and working with me to set a date that would work for my schedule as well.
Obviously, they're going to favor him, but they're not making it so that he doesn't have to drive there. They want to schedule it so that he can drive there. What I would do is take advantage of that and say, hey, the officer doesn't have to drive in any more than I do. We can do the trial telephonically.
Okay. That's a good point. What about his objection to my objecting to my motion? Sanction?
He's just repeating his argument, and he's cherry picking out. He's leaving out the foundational part of his argument. He's giving you 90%, and there are people that think, that's a pretty sound argument. I disagree, because it's leaving out the foundation. It's assuming that the Constitution laws have already been proven to apply, and I don't think that that's fair to allow him to assume and to have that magic line that we're told we're not supposed to go past. I disagree, and I don't think that they should be able to make a foundational claim and not have to prove it. So here, that what they're doing is they're going to that line, that magical line that I've mentioned on that show a few weeks ago. They just want to go to that line and not look behind it. It's just like the Wizard of Oz. They don't want you to look at the man behind the green curtain.
Now, can I use casual terminology, like some of what you're saying, kind of paraphrase that, or like in any replies that I have, instead of trying to be so formal, or should I try to be as formal as possible?
You want to use the appropriate legal language when you need to, but I like to use lay terms when I can. I will have my citations. You want to show, I can and will put in there that, certain due process citations, that it's not fair, that they're not addressing the the full argument. They're cherry picking out. And yeah, you could say cherry picking. I don't think that, there's any foul in that. I know some might, well, that's basic logic, Mark. You're not, but I've seen many documents, and I've been, I've had critics accuse me of cherry picking, and I've seen prosecutors write, in lawyers use the phrase cherry picking in legal briefs. So I don't have any problem using that there, because that's what they're doing. They're deliberately leaving out the single most important part of their argument, which is the foundational claim that all of their jurisdiction hinges on whether the Constitution applies because you're physically in Idaho. That is their foundational argument. And they don't want to go there. They want to start at the statute, which is assuming it applies in the first place.
Yeah. Is there going to be any? I think somebody called from Idaho a few days ago, and he didn't have any luck there at all.
Thomas called in, and the judge did the judicial notice, but the judge was pretty much a bully. He was yelling at him, so kind of tough to really keep your wits about you when the judge is yelling at you. So we talked at. I'm pretty certain he has. He's going to be able to file to change the judge. So, yeah, I think that was the marathon 3-hour session for a motion hearing, which is, wow, that's insane. Even a 3-hour traffic trial is long, but a motion hearing. So, anyway, that's what I can do for you today. We got a full load of calls, so I'm going to try to get through to some more.
Yeah, help the other people out. I really appreciate that, Mark. Thanks. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Not a problem. And let me know what you hear.
I will. Bye.
Appreciate it. That was Mac in Vancouver. I think we're going to go to, what is it? Area code 916. So I'm pretty certain that is Sacramento. Area code 916, you're live on the No State Project. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Atik from Sacramento. You got that right, Mark.
Hey, I would have known it was you, but I'm using a whole new thing here on so all my saved numbers, and I can't figure out how to save the numbers yet. So, but hey, glad to have you back. You got good news for us?
No, I do not have good news. Didn't go well.
Do I got to drop this call too? Is that?
Huh?
Do I have to drop the call?
Why?
Because it's not good news. I'm just messing with you.
I mean, I wish I had good news for you, but I mean, none of everything. They just the judge, he denied all the motions, proceeded the trial, and then at trial, it's all bull. It's not fair. And he said he just found me guilty. That's all.
Well, walk us through this a bit. I mean, he denies all the motions. Did you get any discovery?
No, I got no discovery. Nothing. I got no discovery. And then at trial, when I went there, he didn't even bring anything. And then I tried to challenge him on his calibration and radar and his pedometer calibrations. He goes, "You didn't subpoena this." I was like, "Yeah, I did." And then I said, even though I didn't subpoena, which I did, wouldn't you think that this is critical to get a conviction, to have actual evidence, right? And the judge didn't say anything. He says, I agree with the officer. I think his experience is sufficient enough to find guilty. And that's what happened.
So you had this big discovery violation. You requested
Yeah.
you requested this evidence, okay, and they didn't provide it. And
He didn't provide it.
the judge let it go.
He let it go. He goes, I trust his experience, and he's been doing it a long time, and I think he was accurate and all this stuff. Even though he didn't even have a radar calibration or nothing. He just took everything for hearsay. Basically, it was all hearsay. It wasn't backed by anything. So
wow,
I don't know what to do. I mean, I was thinking about appealing it and maybe have the appellate court look at it. Well, that's all I can do, right?
Well, you can file to reconsider or have post-conviction relief also and point out, and now it's not the heat of the moment. I know it goes to the same jackass who did this, but you're able to point out that the judge overlooked a very serious due process violation, that the prosecution did not provide the facts, the discovery. What you were asking for is straightforward discovery material. That's and for them for them to put you on trial without that equipment to be able, I guess I would have said, look, the officer just actually might be he might be trustworthy, but the fact is this is a trial and there's supposed to be evidence, and I thought I was supposed to be entitled to this discovery so that we can use that material and gauge, and compare it to the officer's testimony, because otherwise it's simply not fair. You don't have the facts to then gauge the accuracy of his statements. Wow, so I got to tell you that's kind of in my experience anyway, it's kind of rare for the judge to let something like that go. I mean, traffic is usually a free for all. They don't give a damn about fairness. But to have this kind of traffic thing and then they didn't bring in, wow. All right.
Yeah. And that's what happened. But what actually made me more mad was I was like, even though I subpoenaed it, and even if I subpoenaed it or not, isn't it critical that you still have this stuff for a proper conviction, right?
Well, right. That's what I was just saying that you don't have to subpoena it. They are required when you ask them in discovery to give that. And if they don't give you that information, they don't give you that, those that discoverable material, then it deprives you of a opportunity to effectively defend yourself. You need to have that information to effectively defend yourself. Here, what in the hell are you supposed to do against the word of the police officer when the judge sees that he is a credible witness? What can you possibly then present other than your word? You need to have objective. You need to have the objective proof to compare. The cop may have been telling the truth 100%. The facts, and the discoverable material would have borne that out if he was, or it would have shown that he was not credible. So you gotta have, So let me see. What did you do on cross-examination?
I just asked him. Okay, so he said that he saw me through his side mirror when he first observed me, and I was like, you can really see through that side mirror. It's pretty small at nighttime. He goes, yeah, I can see. He goes, it's pretty easy to see somebody when they're going over 90 miles an hour. And I was like, hey, in a small mirror, everything looks fast. And I was like, it's pretty hard to see, but if you say so, then you say so. But I don't think that mirror is a credible. It's like. It's not accurate, basically.
Okay, but
that's what I told him.
Hey, 69 participants, nice. The thing that's jumping out at me is that at least you're telling me about the cross-examination, and you went straight to asking him about the merits. And one of the things you got to remember on cross-examination is you never want to ask him a question that is going to damage you. And it's always got to be a leading question, and you don't want him to be repeating things that hurt you from the direct. But what happened as far as your cross-examination, which it should have started this way when it came to the legal claims that the police officer made that led to the stop and to the ticket, meaning, that the laws apply because you're physically in California, and the facts that prove that that's true.
Oh yeah, I didn't say that.
And I think for real, I've got to cut the call. Why wouldn't you? Those are like the two most important questions on a cross-examination in cases like this, code violations. Why didn't you do that?
I messed up in there, got nervous.
All right. Well, this is why we have a script, and I recommend doing the role playing. And I've said, because we typically don't have the time, we have to go for the throat.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate. First question, did you determine on your own that just because I was physically in California that the laws applied, giving you jurisdiction to investigate and probable cause to issue a ticket? Yes. Then you hit them. What facts led you to believe that that was true, that just because I'm physically in California, your Constitution applies and gives you jurisdiction? Okay, so what other things, issues did you raise on the cross?
I just raised that he said that he used radar and stuff. I was like, okay, do you have calibration of your radar? And then he goes, I tested it prior to the shift, another shift, and I asked him, how did you do that? And he goes, there's an internal stuff. I was like, okay. Did you do it according to manufacturer recommendations? And do you have that manufacturer recommendation with you today? He goes, no, I don't. So I was like, anything you're saying is hearsay, right? He goes, no, I did it, and this is how I do it. And then I asked him, did you test it on a moving vehicle? He goes, yeah, I tested it on your vehicle and all other vehicles that I stopped that night. I was like, okay, did you test it on your own vehicle to show that it was accurate? He goes, yeah, I tested it on myself. I was like, okay, if you tested it on your vehicle, then that means your speedometer needs to be calibrated. Do you have a calibration? He goes, no. And I told Donald, I was like, everything he's saying is hearsay. He has not provided any evidence of any of his statements. The judge just kept saying, I trust his testimony and I trust his experience. And then what more could I say?
Well, you didn't do anything to try to bring out that he was not credible.
I did. I said that, can you prove it? Can you prove everything you say? And if he can't prove it, he's not credible, right?
The judge wasn't buying that. That wasn't sufficient. And it may have been that, to me, it's sufficient, the fact that he did not give the discovery. That alone shows that he's not being fair. But the judge was going to let it go. So even if you had asked good questions, leading questions, so you got to make sure on cross-examination, every question's a leading question. So you kind of dropped the ball by really letting them off, I know you were nervous, but at least this wasn't a very serious offense, because like somebody mentioned that if you're too nervous, you probably should just pay the fine. Okay. Here it's just a traffic ticket. If it's a real serious thing, you can't, then you're going to have to pay somebody to assist you as counsel. So here, you kind of, I'm going to have to go ahead and say that you blew it on cross-examination. And so I wouldn't say that, if you did appeal it, you would have to be appealing the denial of you have the denial of discovery, which should be enough to at least get a new trial. But then you have your pretrial issues that the judge arbitrarily denying the motions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. No problem, Mark. Still thank you. If it didn't go well, it didn't go well. I still did what I could. I just didn't handle my money. I still made them work for it, right?
Hey, I applaud everybody that stands up to them. You stood up, you made them work for it. You didn't just roll over and give them what they wanted. So that's good. We do need to prepare, even for a traffic trial. It takes some time, and no one is insisting. I'll address this after. Let's see if I get another call. But you did. It's good to stand up to them.
That's fine, Mark.
It's good to stand up to them. So I'm not taking that away from you. You did pretty good during the pretrial stuff. It's just, it's easy to have them. It's an intimidating process, and it's easy, if we haven't prepared well, to get nervous and drop the ball. But
it's all good, Mark. I just wanted to talk to you and let you know of that, and I'll let you take the other calls, okay?
I appreciate the call, and hopefully there is no next time. But if there is it does happen again, it goes better for you.
Okay, sounds good, Mark. You have a good one. God bless. Take care.
Thank you. I appreciate the call. No, they dropped off. All right, let's address a couple things. Let's put the number out there again. I am going to put it in the chat. So the number, where the heck? Oh, there it is. 717-275-8941. It's not a toll-free number. Never has been. 717-275-8941. The passcode is 123-3428. And you can always get me on Skype. I apologize. I'm so much used to using my Linux. I can't stand Windows. Let me check to see. Has anybody in? No one's. I don't think so. Let me see. Let's see. Maybe we've got somebody from Ottawa. We'll see if they are wanting to join me live. So we will. Okay. What I'm going to do, I will join him to the call. I thought I was doing that. Okay, we'll call. Gosh, I hate Windows. I hate Skype even more. But having to use Windows and Skype, how much can you take? All right, we'll see if they're going to be able to call in. All right, we have Charles in Ottawa.
Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. We did it. We did it.
I love your show, man. I've been listening to you for quite a while, man. High impact films and blogs sent me your way back when there. So I've been watching your show, and you're catching up on all your old videos. So very interesting stuff.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you. I'm hoping maybe there's something I can do to help you. What's going on?
Well, just so you know, I am the son of a police officer, and my grandfather was the chief of police. So I can share with you that a lot of the things you share about the police and bureaucrats are very true. I had to deal with a lot of nonsense with my dad growing up. They're very authoritative people. They don't like to be questioned. But a very good man, though, fair in all the other ways, but very hard to deal with sometimes. So, I just to give you guys a background of myself, where I come from. I've also been in jail, so I know I got to deal with it through the penitentiary. You see what it's all about back when I was like 20 years old. So it's everything that you talk about. It's always been something that I always felt like deep down. I was like, how is it that these things apply to me? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like it's just and it's just like how you present and how you ask the questions are so eloquent and well put that makes people really like think. Which
I gotta jump in there a second. You're trying to say that some guy from Long Island sounds eloquent to you?
Oh, you do, man. It's all good. That to me, eloquence is not necessarily having to be using the big words all the time. Whatever it means, like how you put your words together and how intelligent you do it, and
Hey,
just because you have a different accent doesn't mean anything, right?
I use some big words though here. Jurisdiction's not a tiny word over here.
Hey. Well, no, it's really refreshing to listen to you, because I mean it's I actually have some friends that study law, and I've been putting this into practice with them, and like they're stomped themselves too. Like yeah, you're right. Like what, like how do you make this work? It's just like just people saying something. It doesn't make it so, right? So, and considering also a lot of these crimes or these infractions, they like to call them, they're victimless. There's no evidence that anyone got hurt, anyone lost any money, but yet they're going to make these claims against you and ask you high amounts of money, take food out of your, to take food out of your mouth, cause you injury. Yet the law is based on the very law foundation of do no harm. But yet, they go against their own ideologies, if you will.
It's like I wrote in the book. I mean, there's a cause and effect there. The facts are pretty straightforward and speak for themselves. You've got a group of men and women who are forcing the community to give the money. Corruption and dishonesty is going to come is just naturally going to flow from that, and it's just look, the guy Robert Diab, who is the lawyer, the PhD lawyer up there in I can't remember exactly where in Canada. He agreed. This guy teaches law as a professor. He agreed. Yeah. The applicability of the law is based on force. It's a blunt assertion of power. It is not based on argument. It is not based on reason. It is so coming from those facts that even bureaucrats have to tend to agree with. You can't expect anything else from them. Yeah, they do some good things. There's no doubt. There's roads and hospitals and whatnot. However, that doesn't take away from the basic criminal nature of the organization, and by ignoring the criminal basis of the organization. That's what happens with some of the critics that I talk. They don't want to talk about that. They just want to examine what they're doing in a bubble that's created by the organization. And I say, I think I don't like those arbitrary lines. I just think what you're trying to do is make it so that you can argue against me, and make it so that and hamstring me. Like, defend yourself in your position, but I'm not going to let you go past this point. Come on.
Well, it's basically what they're doing is they're trying to throw illusions at you and try to convince you that they're real. And even themselves have adopted it as thinking that it's real, that it's truth, when in fact it's not. And when you bring up the valid questions to make them think, then it starts going around inside, and then people that don't have emotional intelligence will get frustrated, and then they'll start acting like they're bullies, and they're going to start using threats of violence and all that kind of shit. And that's a sad reality, unfortunately, because like you said, the laws are in place to make a society that people respect each other, hold each other accountable, right? That's the basis of it, right? So it's not about, well, I'm going to hold you accountable based on, well, I think this is what it is, and I'm going to throw all these illusions at you, and because you don't know the law, and I know the law, and I have all the resources behind me, unlimited. I have all the power in the world to do and push you around like I want to, And it's just unfortunate because a lot of people, innocent people that are good people, slip through the cracks a lot, not just a little bit, a lot. Like what I'm dealing with myself here, I'm dealing with the province of Gatineau, the city of Gatineau, which is just across from Canada's capital. And the police there are out of control. Like my dad was actually a police officer in that city, and my grandfather was the chief of police there too. And like growing up, they've told me many stories of like how out of control the bureaucrats are there. It's very corrupt. Just to give you an idea, I got a ticket for parking on the street. It was wintertime, and it had all the things saying that don't park as the plow was coming. But I didn't park. I put my four-ways on because I had nowhere else to go. But I was only going 5 minutes into my cousin's house. I come outside. I got a ticket on my window with the four-ways on. The car was on, and I had someone sitting in the back seat. They didn't even see the guy put the ticket. They were like just chilling on their phone or something. And I said, I got a ticket. And I called. I said, well, why are you guys giving me a ticket? Like I had my four-ways. Like, what's your officer doing? And so they're like, okay, well, you're pleading not guilty. Well, obviously. But I could go into work. I can go into fight it. I had to work. I worked 70 hours. I worked for Cintas, which is I don't know if you ever heard of them. It's a linen company. We were working crazy hours. I couldn't take time out of my day to go and fight a $40 ticket. We might as well just pay it, right?
Did you just say Dago?
No, Gatineau.
No, you said Dag as my Dago. It's just a stupid joke. All right. Once again, it didn't land.
Okay. So
well, all right. Well, they know that most people can't go to court. At least in New York, they have night court so that you don't have to take time off from work, which is pretty big of them. But so that is that something you're still fighting, or did you just? I mean, what happened with that?
Well, see, the thing is, like me back in that time, like you're looking at 2013 and 2014 when all this happened. And at that time, I was actually going through like a lot of health problems, like mental health problems, like depression and anxiety because of my job. Like I was working 2 jobs and I was really, getting corporate bullying, if you will. Like they were just infringing on my rights and I was standing up. And the more you stand up against these people, the more they call you a thorn. But then you bring it out. It's like, no, you're not respecting my rights. So you're the thorn, but now you're calling me the thorn. It's like they project on you all the time, right?
Yeah.
So I was going through all this nonsense. And then, I just kind of I had my doctor give me sick leave, told me to give me 2-3 months off of work. And so I kind of, I stopped working. And at the time, when you're going through a lot of problems, everything's just caving in. They were repossessing my car because of work was not making it easy for me to get my unemployment. So I can make my car payment, all these things just factor in, right? Like life happens and sometimes it's like a lot of resistance that comes your way and you don't have the health or the capability to be able to defend yourself. So a lot of times you just kind of say, fuck it, right? So essentially that's what I did. But also it didn't stop there. Is that later on in that year, I went to one of my buddies in Hull, which is essentially a city within Gatineau, they amalgamated. So I actually just crossed the street to go to the store to buy some goodies. And I come out of the store, I have these 2 police officers, telling me to come over with their finger. And I just kind of looked at it. I said, look, I don't come with just one finger, so you're gonna have to come and talk to me. So they came out of the car. So they started asking me, so yeah, I says, you crossed the street, you jaywalked. And I look at it, I said, I didn't jaywalk. I said, I saw you guys, you actually pulled over someone on the side of the street. And I saw you guys there with your cherries on, and I specifically didn't jaywalk because I didn't want to give you guys a reason to bug me. And then now you're going to tell me I jaywalked? And then he's looking at it, he's like, he kind of like a smirk as he knew, I caught him, right? So I'm like, yeah, I said, no, I wasn't jaywalking. I said, and even if I was, I said, I think, it's 2:00 in the morning, there's no cars going by. Like, what's the problem? There's no injury, there's no problem. So he's like, well, just be careful. You're wearing a black hoodie. It's dark. I said, okay, well, thank you for your concern. I said, I care about my life more than you. So I think I'd be careful crossing the street. So then he says, can I see your identification? I said, no, that's okay. He says, well, you have to. I said, it's pretty simple. I said, you asked me a question. Can I see your identification? And so I guess that gives me the option to say yes or no. So I said, no. Now you don't like the answer. So now you tell me I'm required. I said, under which law am I required? He said, well, we're the police. I said, well, that's not a law. I said, you have to essentially state what law that you're stating that essentially requires me to identify myself to you. I haven't heard anybody.
But Charles,
he said, well, pardon me, what?
I'm running low on time, so I got to jump in here.
Okay, so I'll just
the important thing here is just like in the United States, the important thing is you shouldn't be you shouldn't be talking to the police. If they approach you should keep your mouth shut. The only thing that you do to keep it from escalating or winding up dead, especially if you're in the United States, is to identify yourself and then tell them that on advice of counsel you are not answering any questions. End of discussion, and then you keep your mouth shut. That should be that's the default for everybody. Keep your mouth shut.
And I agree with you 100%. Like back then, I didn't really know the law that well. Like I was just getting into this. I was looking into the freeman on the land stuff. I don't know if you ever heard of Kate of Gaia. All these things that I was just learning about the basis of law. And you listen to a lot of people talk a lot of stuff, and then you look and they have a lot of truth in what they're saying. And there's a lot of bullshit in what they're saying too. Right? So essentially, what happened is that they say, well, if you don't identify yourself, we're going to arrest you. So I said, well, look.
Sorry about that.
Do what you got to do. So that's all I did. And then so they came, they put handcuffs on me, like embarrassed me in front of a whole bunch of people, pull all my ID. So at that point, like, I was just like asking him questions, just, it's funny because, like, it's so powerful because I was in sales myself. And when you ask questions, it's such a powerful thing. You're a powerful person, right? So I started asking, I said, like, you're wearing all this symbol. I said, what does that symbol mean? And what does that symbol mean? And he couldn't answer the question. And I said, wow, it's pretty funny. I said, you're asking me to identify myself to you, and you wear a uniform every day where you wear all of these symbols and everything, but you don't even know what they mean and represent. But yet I'm supposed to listen to you and give you authority.
Yeah, but I don't see where, what the symbols mean. I if you're going to be speaking, and you shouldn't, but like when I speak to them, I couldn't care less if it's a Star of David or a pentagram. I don't give a damn. I'm interested in the foundation, the facts that their legal claims rely on, such as jurisdiction. So that's where it's better. Our time is better spent there. I'm going to have to. I got to let you go because I had a whole thing to discuss, and we've taken calls, which is cool. But I got to spend some time on the Epstein stuff.
Hey, no worries. If you want, I can call you another time later this week, because I'm still dealing with these people on the phone. And I'm trying to see if I can have a lawsuit against them, because they essentially committed fraud against me. That's my whole is like they're making a claim that they can't substantiate with no evidence, and so that's where I want to go. Is they already made a default judgment, so I'm trying to vacate that judgment.
All right. So we'll have more. I'll have more time on the Wednesday show. So give us a call back on the Wednesday show.
Sounds good, Mark. Thank you so much for taking my call, and keep up the good work, brother. I really appreciate what you're doing, man.
Appreciate it. Charles in Ottawa. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. The time just got away. Wow, we covered a lot of ground, though, but I have to get into this stuff because that's what I tentatively call the show. I typically wouldn't give a damn about the impeachment stuff, but there's an interesting development that has to be talked about because it just keeps coming back. And so as it was reported across, it's probably even on Fox News, and I'm sure that even the most diehard Trumpers are not screaming fake news because not just one, Trump didn't hire just one of Epstein's former lawyers. He hired two. How is it? See, Jeffrey Epstein is like in the middle of all this stuff because even though he's supposed to be the attorney general, Bill Barr is connected to Epstein because the law firm it was a big law firm, but his father had a direct interest and had at least a business relationship with Epstein decades ago. But Trump has hired Ken Starr, the one who did the special counsel, the independent counsel that led to the impeachment of Bill Clinton, the one that Donald Trump said in '99 was a lunatic and a disaster. He's now hired the same guy. And Alan Dershowitz. So Alan Dershowitz, remember, Alan Dershowitz, who's a Harvard law professor, Alan Dershowitz is implicated and has been accused by some of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. But he acted as his lawyer. And now he was accused of having sex with at least one underage or minor child, a teenage girl. Now, he initially vehemently denied any contact whatsoever with a minor. None. Just, it's wrong, it's false, and it's this, and it's that. Then last year, or in 2018 rather, he admitted he had a massage by a minor child. But it was okay because, quote, I kept my underwear on, end quote, during the massage by a minor child at Epstein's mansion. So he's right in there. See, the story changes. Always keep that in mind with these here people. If there's any accountability at all, They typically don't have any accountability. Then there's Ken Starr. How does Ken Starr tie in? Oh, he prosecuted he was the independent counsel in Clinton. He wanted all sorts of witnesses against Clinton. That's for damn sure. I don't want any witnesses for his new client. Well, Ken Starr and Alan Dershowitz were two of the lawyers that Epstein worked with in 2007. So right here on Wiki, Starr joined the legal team defending Palm Beach billionaire Jeffrey Epstein, who was criminally accused of the statutory rape of numerous underage high school students, minor children. Epstein would later plea bargain to plead guilty to several charges of soliciting and trafficking of underage girls, served 13 months of work release in a private wing of the Palm Beach jail, and register as a sex offender. Yeah. And I doubt that he probably even did that. Starr said he was in the room when then U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta made the deal that yielded the plea bargain for Epstein, and later described Acosta as, quote, a person of complete integrity, end quote. Well, of course, he just gave his pedophile child molesting vermin, he just gave him a sweetheart deal and extended immunity to unnamed co-conspirators, named and unnamed. Wow, what a deal. But in early 2019, a federal judge ruled that because prosecutors, meaning Alexander Acosta, failed to disclose the deal to Epstein's victims, they violated the Crime Victims' Rights Act, which entitles victims to know about significant events in their cases. Acosta, who later served as Secretary of Labor, resigned that role in mid-2019 under pressure over the perceived lenience of the Epstein deal. Let's see. Trafficking in having sex with minor children, even if they are 15, and not going to prison for it. That's perceived pressure, perceived lenience. That, just like we're talking about with people today on the show, and if they will prosecute you unmercifully for a traffic ticket. Not all of them, but they do. Here you've got a tech up in Northern California, where the cop doesn't even bring the radar information to show that he calibrated it, and the judge still took the testimony and still and denied any objection of that there was a unfair or there was a due process violation. They don't care. So here it's not a perceived lenience; it is. And now Ken Starr admitted his culpability when he was forced to resign, or he was removed from Baylor University, where he was the president, because what it was alleged that it was investigated, and it seemed justified that the facts were there, that they were covering up sexual abuse and rape at Baylor. And two of the football players went to prison for rape, and this was covered up. Gee, Jim Jordan, Ken Starr, that sounds like Tevin Elliott, all right? They cover it up. I'm not saying that there was pedophilia or child molestation here, but they covered up sexual crimes. You got to get these college football players ready for the cover-ups they're going to enjoy, in the NFL. So it was investigated by a law firm called Pepper Hamilton. They reported their findings to the Regents on May 13th, 2015. And on May 26th, the Regents announced Starr's removal as its university president. he was also the chancellor, so he resigned as chancellor. And he told an interviewer that he took the action, quote, as a matter of conscience, end quote. He said he willingly accepted responsibility and that the captain goes down with the ship. And so he had resigned. So you've got these two people who were deeply involved with the sweetheart deal that Alexander Acosta gave him. Why is it? See, my question is, why isn't Donald Trump hiring Alexander Acosta? Make it complete. Get all the damn Epstein attorneys together to free him. Hell, if they got him a sweetheart deal like that, if they're able to let a pedophile walk with immunity for all the unnamed co-conspirators, imagine what they can do when you're just accused of abuse of office. My gosh. Wow. It seems like he might be smart enough not to have Rudy Giuliani on his team. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I think we've covered a lot of ground. I want to cover a bit more detail about the Epstein, but I am out of time. Appreciate everyone tuning into the big show. We did it without any hitches, so that's good. I will be live on a Wednesday show. If you'd like to support the No Stay Project, you can do so at markstevens.net and markstevens.cells.com. And so till we're live again on the Wednesday broadcast, salud.